Brexit is dead.
For this episode of Brexit is Dead, we're looking at how the choice to leave the EU means Britain is turning to shit. Well, not really, but more shit will be allowed to be spewed into our rivers and seas than ever before, but more on that later. First, let's remind ourselves of some of the horrors that have happened since the electorate voted to leave the EU. Well, a lot of the older people who voted for Brexit are dead. Others are regretting putting an X in the box to leave. Boris Johnson, who was the figurehead of the Leave campaign, was officially denounced as a liar.
Well, who believes Boris Johnson was telling the truth yesterday?
Wow.
Farmers are feeling the effect.
Why is the price of food going up so rapidly?
Basically because production is falling off a cliff at the moment. Post-Brexit, we created this labour vacuum.
The response to the COVID pandemic was compromised due to Brexit preparations, meaning unnecessary deaths.
In the face of Brexit and the threats that a disorganised Brexit could do, we took the resources were moved across the department to focus on that threat, including away from pandemic preparedness planning.
Few or no checks at the port of Dover mean lorries are bringing in rotting, possibly contaminated food.
The answer is to get back in the single market and free us up, because there are no advantages to Brexit whatsoever, particularly for food production and food security and public health.
There's been empty promises of cheaper food and clothes.
Basis, we would set our own tariffs. We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away by getting rid of the protectionist anti-trade tariffs that the EU imposes.
That have been proved wrong.
Saying that a third of food price inflation is being driven by Brexit.
Even the guy who stoked the fire of Brexit says it's
Arguably,
fouled.
Now we're back in control. We're regulating our own businesses even more than they were as EU members. Brexit has failed. Brexit has failed. Brexit has failed. Brexit has failed.
But now from the same government who bought Therese I couldn't give a shit coffee as Environmental Secretary, who seems powerless to do anything about the water companies illegally dumping raw sewage into our rivers and seas.
It seems like even on the 19th of July last summer, which was the hottest day on record, the middle of a dry spell, that even then there was sewage being released illegally. I mean, you've talked about the Environment Agency. Do you also take your share of the responsibility for this?
Well, it does seem extraordinary on the hottest day of the year that there may be releases. Again, I go back to the fact the Environment Agency is the regulator. They will the people who will do the detailed investigation and understanding of why all that has happened and what they're going to do about it in terms of, was it a breach, is there an explanation, or frankly, had the water companies literally dropped the ball and messed up?
We have this news. Yes, as if there wasn't enough crap in the water, we're going to diverge even further from EU standards to allow less testing of the rivers and seas. So that means the water companies can dump even more raw sewage into them without fear of getting caught. Click here for another Brexit is Dead.